What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. So today is Thursday. Hope you're having an awesome week so far. Having a look at what Bitcoin is doing. Well, we had that run up yesterday. We were talking about the Fed rate cut. Bitcoin popped, and now we're sitting at a 0.78% difference since yesterday. So as you can see, Bitcoin has kind of calmed out. We had that little mini pop, and now we've gone sideways. We're actually being held down by a really important resistance, which we're going to go over. But there is one key indicator that I've been looking at that if we can maintain above it, well, then I do think that we're going to start seeing a lot higher levels for Bitcoin short term, but we do have to keep our eyes on that. Outside of that, I do want to talk about the fact that we had a Goldman Sachs head come out and pretty much say, in his own words, that Bitcoin is ludicrously undervalued and why there's so many macro traders and investors that are looking into Bitcoin and hedging into Bitcoin currently as we speak. And finally, I want to talk about that gold debate that happened between Anthony Pompliano and Peter Schiff. So we're going to get into all of that today. I do have two quick announcements, though. The first announcement is that I'm going to be traveling tomorrow, so it's going to be hard for me to put out a regular updated video. So most likely what I'll do is put out something pre-recorded for you guys, okay? I don't exactly know what that is just yet, but you can expect a video tomorrow, but probably not an update, so you guys are on your own tomorrow, all right? But I will have a video out. And the second thing that I wanted to point out, I told you guys I would remind you, is that Bybit is actually doing a promotion for the next 2 weeks. So basically what they're doing is if you deposit 0.2 Bitcoin, you're going to get $110 instead of $50. So that's a pretty good opportunity. And the cool thing is that even if you've already registered, like say you registered a month ago, but you didn't deposit money, well, you're still eligible. You don't have to like re-register or anything like that, okay? So if you're interested, I do have a link below. Now let's move on with the video. Let me give this a quick refresh live. So Bitcoin dominance has gone up almost 1%. So we're at 65.2% Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin's still sitting above $10,000, but just barely. Not a lot of green really in the other coins. In fact, if you switch it to the Bitcoin comparative, yeah, you'll see a lot more of them are in the red. But having a look at some gainers today, we do have some coins that are up. This Japan content is up yet again. Theta, XMAX, U-Network, Energy, Bitcoin Diamond, GX Chain, Aurora, Binance Coin, Decred. So there are a few altcoins up today. You do notice that the Fear and Greed Index is slowly creeping up and up and up and up, right? Now we're at 57. So we have entered into the greed territory, right? But we are mild. Usually this doesn't tend to sway the markets that much. Having a look at most of these, you're seeing either sells or neutral across the board with yeah, basically looks pretty split down the middle between longs and shorts as well. Now, having a look at what's going on right here, this is I mean, really, guys, it's the same chart we've been looking at, but the thing is we really need to break above this trend line right here. You can see it keeps stomping us down time after time again, and look at how many times we've actually tried to break through it. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4... 5 times, right? We've been rejected every single time. So if we do continue to get rejected, we are going to probably fall down to some of these lower levels around 9,300, or we could even come down to that $8,300 level that we have been looking at, right? Now, I do want to just go back to something that we were talking about a few weeks ago. I had this blue zone set up, and I said that if we could get above the blue zone and maintain inside of it, especially if we were to break above it, that would be very, very good short term. Obviously, we still want to get above the $13,150 level, or else we're just going to be putting in more lower highs, which is still a bearish trend, right? But we have been supported by this trend back here, and we do find ourselves inside of the ribbon. So currently, we're not really in the blue zone yet, but it looks like we are struggling to break into it. But like I said, if we do end up breaking out of this, I mean, you could see Bitcoin skyrocket all the way up to about, $11,800. It's very possible. We've seen it happen before, for example, back here, and obviously this first initial run up, which was just absolutely massive, right? Once again, still in the EMA ribbon on the futures. It's looking like the chances of filling this gap are getting less and less probable as time goes by. I'm just going to be completely honest with you guys. I'm still looking at about a two-week window. Obviously Super Guppy putting in full-on green. We don't really have to go into that very much. But the one that I do want to talk about is the 55 exponential on the daily. And the reason is because you're noticing right now that it is creating a bit of support right now. Bitcoin is struggling to fall below it. Now you can see right here, ever since we pretty much got above it, which was right around, we were kind of dancing with it back in early March, but basically right here in April when we had that first pop off, you could see that we stayed above it, but currently we did fall below it. Now, once again, I just like to look at what we've done in the past, even though the past doesn't necessarily, indicate we're going to have the same future results, but, having a look at this EMA, it does tend to provide a bit of support. And when we usually fall below it, for example, we fell below here, we put in about a 25%. Okay, the other time we fell below here, we put in about a 22%. Here we just literally wicked below it. Okay, here's another wick. We can do this one if you guys want. So that was about a 14%. So you could see it usually puts in, I'm not really going to count that wick, but it puts in probably a 20% to 25% drop from that point. So currently looking at where we are right now, if you come down here, that was only a 9%, right? So we were looking to come down and put in a total of 40%, which would bring us down to about that $8,300 level, right? Now, once again, where would that bring us if we were to go from here? Well, that would bring us about 15, 16%. So this could still be something to notice. If we do fall below the 55 EMA, then I do still have my eyes on that $8,300 level. However, if we maintain above it and we can break out of this resistance that's been holding us down, then I think we could see Bitcoin go like literally fly, like I said, up to about $11,800. But we need to keep our eyes on that moving forward. And I know I sound like a broken record here, guys, but I do personally believe that we are entering the reaccumulation phase. So I think once this drop is done, I think we're going to know, like I said, within the next few weeks. And I do think that it's going to provide a really great opportunity for Bitcoin accumulation before we enter this massive, bull trend, which I do believe is inevitable. Now, having a look at Bitcoin dominance, even though it has gone up just in the past day, some speculating maybe it does have to do with the rate cut, but, a lot of people still saying, what about these altcoins? Well, we've talked about the fact that the altcoins currently are sitting on this trend that they've been supported by, and you could tell that, it sometimes puts in this sideways pattern right here where it just sort of climbs up slowly, or we do have these massive breaks. So now, would be, and I'm not saying, not financial advice, don't go load up on altcoins, but, if there is an altcoin out there that you do believe in, that you do think has a lot of fundamentals, now could be the time to scoop that coin up, but as far as having a universal alt season, actually, I can even just go to what CZ said. He said the difference between the 2017 alt season and the next one is that the new one, it won't just have white papers. Projects in the next alt season will have products and users. They are still risky investments, but the industry is much healthier now. So I do agree that we're not going to see all of them just explode, but the ones that have good fundamentals, we're definitely going to see them do quite well, I would assume, and currently it looks like a good time to buy, but I'm not telling you to buy because obviously we know that all eyes are still on Bitcoin. In fact, an interesting statistic over here, if you have a look at Google Trends, you'll notice that this is the first time that Bitcoin has actually overtaken stocks as far as a search term since October of 2017. Now, I know what you're saying, yeah, but who just types in stocks, right? If somebody's looking up stocks, they're going to type in the actual stock, right? I'm going to look up Apple. I'm going to look up, Google or Amazon or something like that, right? Well, yes, I understand. But then again, who is just typing in Bitcoin if you're already in Bitcoin, right? No, you're looking up stuff like hash rate or whatever, right? So point being, this is basically showing us people that have had no exposure, right? I mean, you could see that stocks is a search term that is, relatively searched over time. So imagine like a young person, right? Like a kid that doesn't know anything. Well, he's going to search like, how do I buy stocks, right? Well, you're seeing that now Bitcoin is overtaking that. So that shows me that a lot of newer people that, don't really know much about Bitcoin are actually currently searching it and looking into it, right? But obviously take that with a grain of salt. But the one thing that I do want to say is this is pretty bullish. Raoul Pal, a former head equities derivatives at Goldman Sachs UK office and the founder of Global Macro Investors and Real Vision Group, believes that Bitcoin is worth betting on in the long term, even if it's just a 1% chance. Now check this out, guys. He says, I know all these macro guys, they're all in it. They get it. They get the optionality. They may be complete believers, part believers, partial believers, but even then, if it's just a 1% chance of being right and the upside is 100x from here, well, then you could do this all day. By the way, I see what you guys did here, Cointelegraph. I see what you did. Little Blade Runner reference there. I like it. Pretty cool. So anyway, but what he says was, according to him, the potential reward of buying Bitcoin far outweighs all the accompanying risks. In his abstract approximation, are you ready for this? $8 trillion is a possible figure the Bitcoin market cap could hit in the future. He says, so if it's worth $80 trillion, let's say you have a 10% probability, that's where he got his $8 trillion from. It's currently worth $200 billion. So even if there's just a 1% chance of it working, what it's telling you is that it is, and you can see right here, I highlighted, it's ludicrously underpriced if any of these probabilities play out. So do you understand like the opportunity of actually being able to own a Bitcoin even just for $10,000? Some people may think that that's ridiculous, but when you look at the stock to flow chart, which I'm going to get to in just a second, you'll see that Bitcoin is clearly on track for 100K, a million, even higher. We don't even know what could happen. We don't know what's going to happen with these fiat systems. So he adds up, he says these crazy numbers, they're very, very attractive. And you can see right here, Bitcoin is predicted to increase to $1 million in the coming years. He says, yes, it's an option. And okay, it's less of an option than it was when it was much cheaper. Granted, had you bought Bitcoin at, $10, yeah, it would have been a lot easier to make money right now. But if you do look at the stock to flow model, you can see that it has a comparative upside. Sorry, we already saw this. So I'm going to go back to plan B right here. Now, I talk about this guy a lot on the channel. I really love the stock to flow chart. You can see it right here. And he says right here, stock to flow model made with only 2009 to 2012 data correctly predicted the $200 to $800 price after the 2012 halving. It also predicted the 6K to 10K price after the 2016 halving. It also predicts a $100,000 Bitcoin after the 2020 halving, and it also says there's a potential for a $1 million Bitcoin after 2024. Do you guys see this chart right here? I mean, it's been playing out. So, I mean, yes, past performance doesn't indicate, future results, but so far, this thing has been playing out pretty damn accurately. And that's why I think right now, people that are just waiting to buy cheaper, waiting like, I got to get the best price. Dollar cost average, not financial advice, but you never know. We might not go down to these lower levels. These bears that are calling for 7,200, 8,500. We may not see those levels, The charts only show us where we've been. They don't show us where we're going, right? And these big whales, well, they are doing some manipulation. And if you watched my videos a couple days ago, I was showing you all the different ways they manipulate the markets with the BART patterns and all that other stuff. So it's definitely happening and it's definitely real. And if that's not enough, how about the fact that the former governor of Brazil's central bank thinks that Bitcoin is the most spectacular cryptocurrency. He had an opinion piece that came out. This is Gustavo Franco, and he pledged what appeared to be an unwavering support for actually both decentralized cryptos like Bitcoin, and he was even pretty positive about Libra as well. He said Bitcoin is the most spectacular case of cryptocurrency because if I were a business, it would be worth $175 billion. So yeah, I mean, that's crazy. That's the value of all Bitcoins outstanding, only it has no shares, no shareholders, or governance. So, taken all together, all the other 100 largest cryptocurrencies are just worth under 100 billion, with 14 of them worth over $1 billion. And if you guys hadn't had an opportunity to check out this debate between the Pomp and Peter Schiff, definitely come over here and check it out if you haven't. I did watch it. I'll be completely honest with you guys. I didn't feel like the Pomp went as hard as he could. One of the things is I think sometimes in crypto, we tend to get very invested in the lingo and the terminology, right? And we start really using words that we're very familiar with, but we forget that to outsiders, not a lot of them really understand it. So while I think the Pomp really nailed it, I think he did a great job. I think that one of the things we need to start doing is speaking in terminology maybe that's easier to understand for people outside of the space, right? So that was really my only criticism. One of my favorite parts, though, is when he actually went on to talk about gold, and Peter Schiff was like, if I want to transfer gold to somebody, it's easy. All they have to do is set up an account, with whatever, and then I transfer it to them, and then we get the notification, and we're good. And he goes, but how do you know you actually transferred the gold? Can you go and see the gold? How do you know it's even really actually gold? So he had a bunch of really good points. If you haven't checked this out, I'm actually going to give it a like. Check it out. I'll drop it below. But there was one final statement that he said, and he says, if Peter and other believers with 100% confidence think that there's a 0% chance that you'll be wrong, then screw it. Don't invest and don't add it to your portfolio and don't use it. He said, but if there's even a 1% chance that you could be wrong, kind of echoing what we just said earlier with Goldman Sachs, right? He says the odds given that is an asymmetric asset means that you will be kicking yourself forever for having known about this, spending your time doing this, getting berated on the internet, and you still miss the opportunity. So my friends out there, I don't know who's watching or how much Bitcoin you own, but I know a $10,000 Bitcoin seems crazy. I know it's a lot of money, and it's probably only going to get more expensive over time. But looking at the fact that there's only 21 million, 4 million lost forever, 44 million millionaires in the world, and if their financial advisors advise them to buy a Bitcoin, not all of them could own it. My goodness, why would you not want to own at least just one Bitcoin and forget about it? So, I mean, I would try to make that at least a goal of mine. I'm curious, how many of you actually own one Bitcoin? Does anybody out? I mean, I'm sure there has to be, right? Let me know if you own at least one Bitcoin, or if you're working towards it, or let me know if you think it's silly and you're not going to buy Bitcoin because there's going to be another crypto that you think is better. But yeah, I mean, once this thing does take off, that 1% chance, wow. Also, a message brought to you by Bitcoin.com. I'm sure you guys have all seen this, but if you haven't, I'm going to play it for you now and hopefully not get in trouble for playing this on my channel.
Craig Wright is a liar and a fraud, so sue me. Again.
Well, it looks like Craig Wright was trying to sue him for libel. Basically, he said that he defamed him in the YouTube video. I think this is the video. Maybe that's not the video. Maybe it's a different video. But anyway, long story short, citing both Wright's international reputation and Bitcoin's global community, the court found that there was no objective evidence that Wright's reputation in England was harmed. The court found that there is no evidence at all of any actual reputational harm that the claimant has suffered as a result of any of the defendant's publications. So yeah, basically that got thrown out the window. But I know we're getting off topic, but you got to admit, it's always fun to have a little Craig Wright story in there, right? But I wanted to talk a little bit about what happened the other day, right? We had the committee, we had Jeremy Allaire from Circle. He was speaking in front of them. And some members of the committee also said that the U.S. needs to lead the cryptocurrency industry and bring technology to legal use. Senator Cortex Masto, member of the U.S. Democratic Party, uttered encouraging words for the entire crypto community. He said, I do think that blockchain technology is the future. I think there's potential here, and it's not going to go away, so we need to pay attention to it. And obviously, we know that we can't ban it, right? We've gone over that plenty of times. In fact, I want to actually play this clip from Chairman Crapo. I spoke about it yesterday, but why not just watch it? Because I think it kind of ties in really good with the narrative. So I want you to see how he basically goes, we can't ban it. And then I want you to see what Jeremy Allaire had to say in response to this as well. And then we'll talk about it.
And maybe another way to ask my question is, if the United States were to decide, and I'm not saying that it should, but if the United States were to decide we didn't want cryptocurrency to happen in the United States and tried to ban it, I'm pretty confident we couldn't succeed in doing that because this is a global innovation. But how would a company that wants to create a cryptocurrency that has global reach get into the United States, or how would that impact the United States? You see the question I'm asking?
I'm happy to take part of that, Senator. I think the challenge that we all face with this is, some of these cryptocurrencies they're literally just a piece of open source software. There's nothing else. It exists on the internet. It's open source software. Anyone can implement it. It runs anywhere the internet runs. And these have a monetary policy where these assets are algorithmically generated, and they exist everywhere the internet exists. They will soon exist, interstellar. They will exist, again, anywhere the internet exists. That is a challenge that every government in the world now faces, that digital money will move frictionlessly everywhere in the world at the speed of the internet, hopefully with a high level of security and data protection around it. One of the promises of this technology very specifically is a higher standard around privacy, a higher standard around confidential transactions and data protection. That's one of the core infrastructure focuses of these blockchains. And so I think those needs can be met. There's the flip side, which is how does law enforcement get its job done, and how do 190 countries get an agreement about that? FATF guidelines, for example, that are specific to virtual assets have come into place, which I think could be a roadmap to that as well.
And I think he made a really great point at the end. This was a topic that we hit pretty hard in yesterday's video, which is about that regulatory uncertainty. And unfortunately, you're actually seeing the US lose out in innovation because a lot of these companies are moving to other places that are more friendly to allow this type of innovation to continue. The second point that he also made was data protection, okay? One of the biggest issues that I have personally is what these guys do with your data. I mean, look at what Facebook has done, right? Cambridge Analytica, right? Nobody trusts them. That's the biggest issue that they have right now currently with the Libra cryptocurrency. I mean, I don't even use Facebook. I can't even remember the last time. The only reason that I even keep it is just like in case I want to get a hold of somebody that I randomly went to school with like 10 years ago, which I really haven't had that urge to. So come to think of it, I probably should just delete the damn thing. But, you know, it definitely makes me think about stuff like Datawallet, for example. And this is actually from Crypto Briefing. And these guys are trying to attack it head on, you know, like Big Brother, as they put it. It's backed by cryptocurrency enthusiast Tim Draper. And this is basically designed to allow users to manage and permission their Facebook, Amazon, and Google data. And keep in mind, this is all on the blockchain, right? So these solutions are out there. They are creating them. The wallet acts as a gatekeeper, essentially, for all of your information, keeping data under direct control. Not even Datawallet themselves can actually get the data once it's on. You store your data locally, encrypt it in your browsers. From there, you could choose to upload to any platform that you want, right? So this gives you full control. You can grant permission to applications, enable personal control over who can access their private data. You can see right here. Now, unfortunately, currently, they say that the data wallet release is strictly for developers. During this phase of construction, they can build their apps with ethical data mindset, maximizing user access to their own data while making them fully compliant with GDPR and other modern data privacy regulations. So I think that you're going to see a lot more of this moving forward. People taking back the rights to their data. I mean, even in some of these platforms that you're seeing, these social media platforms that are getting put on the blockchain, the whole idea is that why should these guys be getting paid for your data? Why should you be you know what I'm saying? So as the application is in the development phase, though, currently they do say that the developer SDK will be going live on GitHub soon with a Chrome extension tool that will enable developers to build data wallets into a range of products. So hopefully, as this network begins to build out, you know what I'm saying, it will be a lot better for the average user to be able to protect their data so you can monitor and give permission to all these different companies. I already talked about Facebook, Amazon, Google, etc. So like I said, these are just some of the innovations that, you know, if the US is going to be difficult with, well, you know, they could end up pushing this to other places that are going to end up, you know, beating us in this race. And if you guys are interested, there was this interview that came out July 5th with the CEO. Check it out for sure if you guys are interested. But yeah, I mean, this just basically goes in line with what we said yesterday. Now, super quick before we go, I do want to talk about some altcoins. This one in particular caught my attention. We have Dragonchain. It looks like they are getting into the business of Oracle. So the question is this going to give Chainlink a run for its money? Now, you guys know I'm a very big supporter of Chainlink. In fact, on my interview with Altcoin Daily, I actually picked Chainlink as one of my top altcoins, but I'm interested to see in what Dragonchain has to do and if they're going to actually, you know, be some kind of competition. Let me know what you think. I also heard a rumor that they were rebranding. Is that true? Is Dragonchain rebranding? I don't know if that was just a rumor or if that's actually happening, but let me know about that. Also, you guys saw the other day, NOS switched to ARK, right? So ARK Bridges, solving scalability. You guys could check this out. Really short video, only about 2.5 minutes, but you know, we've had ARK on the channel before. I've spoken to Travis several times. I'm a fan of interoperability and I like the plug and play nature of it. So, you know, have a look at that if you guys are interested as well. Also, check this out. So, you have the NBA and Dapper Labs are teaming up to announce the launch of a digital platform for blockchain-based collectibles called NBA Top Shot. Now, these are from the creators of CryptoKitties. So according to the companies, fans of the game can buy, sell, and trade digitally collectible in-season moves like Kevin Durant's three-point shot or Joel Embiid's dunk. Digital collectibles can be used for on-chain games or tournaments, so similar to products like NBA 2K. Dapper's NBA Top Shot allows users to acquire players and build rosters with an additional hook, purchasing special moves from their prior season. So I think that, you know, like collectibles and stuff like that on the blockchain, I think it's a great use case. NFTs, you guys know I'm huge on non-fungibles, right? So definitely pretty awesome. And finally, before we go, our good old buddy, Russel Okung, you may know him as the left tackle of the Chargers. Well, he says right here, I will be hosting a one-day event Sunday, September 1st in LA for Bitcoin rookies. I'm excited to jump in more personally to help advance efforts in mainstream adoption. Now, this is what I was saying with Pomp before. He says, I've heard from so many people who express interest in Bitcoin only to quickly give up after getting lost down the technical rabbit holes, the trails, or widespread misinformation. So I think that's important. I think that just because we've been in the space for a while, you know, we tend to just be like, well, I understand how it works. But don't forget, to the average person, it's still very confusing. And I do believe that the educational aspect of it is still very, very important, okay? So that is why I believe that, you know, we need to do our part to educate the best we can. You know, if next time you're, you know, in an Uber and your driver asks about Bitcoin, you know, take some time to actually explain it to them, you know, break it down. You know, these people, they don't really know a lot about it. So I definitely think education is important. That being said, thank you so much for coming back to the channel, guys. Like I said, tomorrow, I don't think I'm going to be able to get a video out. I'm going to try my damnedest to put out some kind of a pre-recorded video because I don't want to not put a video out. But yeah, also yesterday, people were saying, okay, so I watched the video. I said, comment on yesterday's video to win a Ledger Nano S. Guys, I obviously slipped up. I don't have 400 plus ledgers to give away for every single comment. You guys know it was a mistake. What I meant was comment on any video throughout the course of the week, and we do a random drawing on Monday for one winner, okay? Like, I obviously don't have that many ledgers, let's be real. So anyway, it was kind of funny though. Everyone was like, well, you said I get a ledger. So yes, I screwed up, guys. But thank you for pointing that out. Thank you so much once again for coming back to the channel. If you haven't joined the Telegram group, the link is right here, or you can check below. It's absolutely free. We just hang out and talk crypto all day.